Hi there, I'm IELTS Master Lee, and welcome to this Improve Your IELTS Speaking video with real sample answers and scripts. Today our topic is speaking part 3, friends. Are you ready? Let's get started. In this lesson, you will first learn or review a technique you can use for practicing speaking part 3. Second, listen to 3 Band 9 sample answers that all use the technique. Third, analyze advanced speaking techniques, vocabulary, and grammar from the sample answers. Okay, so maybe you have seen the other speaking part 3 videos. No problem. You might just want to skip ahead a little bit to my sample questions and answers. But if you don't know the technique, then definitely pay attention. It's something very good for you coming up. 2 big speaking part 3 problems. Number 1 is saying too much or rambling. You just talk and talk and talk. You make mistakes. You hesitate, you get stuck if you speak too much, all right? So the other problem is saying too little. If you just give a very short answer during speaking part 3, maybe you're not fluent. You don't have the language to give a longer answer. When examiners see that you don't have the language to give a complete answer, they get nervous about you. They think, oh, maybe this person isn't so good at English. So you want to be able to give a complete, nice answer. Not too much, don't ramble, but not too little. Don't stop short. How can we fix these problems? Well, we can fix them by practicing answer structure, and that's what we're going to do today. So let me teach you my idea for a solid structure for part 3 answers. And I call this the AREA technique. Fancy name, right? So AREA stands for answer, reason, example, alternative. These 4 parts. And the reason we have parentheses around the last A for alternative is because it's optional. You don't need to have an alternative. But for every question, you'll probably want an answer, a reason, and an example to make it a complete answer. First, you're going to answer the question the examiner asked you. Next, give a reason for your answer. For example, this is because, or something like that. Number 3, include some kind of example. For example, for instance, in my case. And then finally, optionally, give an alternative answer. For example, on the other hand, sometimes when you're giving an answer, you think of a possible different answer. And you go, oh, now that you say that, or now that I think about it, or on the other hand, and then you can give an alternative answer and talk a bit more. This is a very natural speech pattern, and native speakers, English masters, do this all the time, so you can too. Remember, if you practice a lot with this technique, giving good answers on the real test will be easier. You don't need to remember on the real test, A-R-E-A, A-R-E-A. That's not necessary. But if you practice with this, it will definitely help you give better answers. Okay? Cool. Let's take a look at some sample questions and answers for this topic on friends. And you can see how I use the ARE technique to practice. So, first, what do you think are the most important qualities for friends to have? Wow, that's a pretty tough question. I think my first instinct would be to say that kindness and being trustworthy are the most important qualities. Without these, I feel like it's really difficult to have a long-term relationship with someone. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to bother with friends who aren't kind to you or that you can't trust. No one wants friends they think might stab them in the back someday. Alright, so this is a simple A-R-E answer here. I didn't include an alternative because I don't think it's really necessary, and I didn't think of anything else. I didn't think of any alternatives while I was giving this answer. Next question, number 2. Which are more important to people, their family or their friends, and why? I think it really depends on the person and where they are in life, doesn't it? For a baby, obviously their family are more important, but then as people get older, they develop different connections. Some people stay really close to their family, and others grow away from them. I think it's hard to make such a general statement about what's important to people in general. It also varies between cultures. Some cultures really value individualism, while others focus on keeping a tight-knit family. So in this question too, you'll notice that we have the A, but then the R and the E are together. I think for this question, especially because it asks why, it's very unnatural for me to separate the reason and example. But I also include an alternative here. In the beginning, I talked about whether family or friends are more important to people. I said that it depends on where a person is in life, but down at the bottom, my alternative is that it also depends on their culture. Okay? So that's an alternative answer. Question number 3. What do you think causes friendships to break up? There are a bunch of reasons. Most of the time, I think it's just people going their own ways and growing apart than actually breaking up. Like I was talking about before, people go through different stages of life, and so who they're friends with can change depending on where they're at. For example, when high school students graduate, a lot of them go to university. It's pretty natural to not keep in touch with everybody you used to know and make new friends. And I'm sure that some people actually break up with their friends, but in general, it's probably just people going their own way. All right? So this is the final question answer. We again have AREA, area. All right, let's take a look at some interesting language examples that I picked out. The first one is, I think my first instinct would be. Now, that's a nice expression. When I use this when I'm thinking of something, I'm not quite sure. I don't have a really strong answer, but I want to give you my first opinion. I'm not giving you my well thought out plan that I've had for a long time. It's just my first instinct, my first idea, my first opinion. Next, it doesn't really make sense to. It doesn't really make sense to. Okay, this is a very nice expression when I want to say, I don't understand why something would be that way. I can't understand why that would be a reason. It doesn't really make sense to. Okay, next, I think it's hard to make such a general statement about about what's important to people in general. I use this, I think it's hard to make such a general statement about. If a person asks me a question that's really general, but they want me to decide something. So here it was, I think it was the question about, what do you think is more important to people, family or friends? Okay, well, for some people it's going to be family, for some people it's going to be friends. It's hard to make such a general statement about what's important to people. All right? Number 4, it also varies between cultures. This is another nice expression, varies between, and then you have this set of groups. Here we have the group of cultures, right? We have maybe Asian culture or culture from Asia. We have Western culture, Japanese culture, Chinese culture, Brazilian culture, whatever. Different cultural groups. So it varies between cultures. You could also say it varies between people. And then finally, like I was talking about before, I like to reference my previous speech. This makes it more coherent and more cohesive. So sometimes I throw it back like I was talking about before. This is a natural expression, and you can memorize it and use it yourself. Thanks so much for watching this video lesson. I hope it was helpful for you. If you want to see more IELTS content on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click the little circle there. Also, tell me, what do you want to see next? Let me know in the comments. I have a big list I'm making, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.